Meanwhile, the Donald Trump campaign called this past week his best week ever, and some polls indicate it could be right. Here with a closer look at this recent swing is the director of polling at the Cato Institute, Emily Ekins. Emily, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, so Kellyanne Conway said that this probably, his new campaign manager, said this could be his best week yet.
Possibly, but honestly, I think that he has a lot of trouble going forward, particularly in the battleground states. I think that's what we need to be looking at. And there, he's not doing well.
Well, let's take a look right now. According to the Real Clear Politics average, Hillary Clinton leads Donald Trump, as you can see right now, at this state of the race by 6 points. Okay, it's still August, right? Does that number, how much does that number actually matter?
Well, I think that's a good point. We don't want to put too much stock in what's happening just in August, but I think we want to not just look at the national polls. We want to look at the battleground state polls. And if you look at those, like Florida and Ohio and so forth, we see that Donald Trump is losing to Hillary Clinton in almost all of them, but also he's losing ground to her in about half of them. So he's actually going the opposite direction from what he would want to do if he were to win in November.
Why do you think he's losing ground, in your estimation?
There are a number of reasons. He's had a lot of trouble winning over kind of white, college-educated Republican voters. And I think what he's been doing lately with his outreach efforts to reach out to African Americans and soften his rhetoric on immigration is largely trying to reach those voters. But it doesn't seem to be working that well.
So is the thinking the core voters are going to vote for him anyway, and so let's go for the independents who might be, the 8 or 10% of undecideds at this point? We're still kind of shopping.
Well, I think he should be looking at those voters voting for third-party candidates. There's some interesting stuff going on there. If you look at the people voting...
I'll tell you what, we're going to put up the poll for you.
All right.
Look at this. In a four-way race, this is nationwide, Hillary Clinton, 42, Donald Trump, about 38. You got Gary Johnson at almost 9 and Jill Stein at about 4. So who are they drawing voters from, Trump or Clinton?
So it might surprise you. It's actually kind of complicated. Here's why. Okay. First, let's look at Gary Johnson supporters. So Gary Johnson supporters are actually closet Republicans, but they're never Trump voters. So in a one-on-one matchup with Clinton and Trump, they say they're voting for Clinton. However, if it was a different Republican in the race besides Trump, they would ordinarily be Republican voters. So as you can see, Clinton and Trump both have a lot to gain by trying to compete for those voters.
Interesting. All right. And now you talked about some of the battleground states. Let's look at North Carolina first. And you can see right here, North Carolina, Clinton is up by 2 over Trump.
Yes.
And Gary Johnson's got 7.
Something that I think is very important to keep in mind here is we want to take several polls conducted over the course of a week, maybe 2 weeks, to really be able to establish a trend. And what we're seeing in North Carolina is not much movement at all. Hillary Clinton continues to lead Trump, and it's not really changing. And this is actually a big problem for Trump because Romney won the state of North Carolina. It should not be as tight as it is. Now, Trump is gaining in the state of Arizona. That we do see movement. But again, Romney won the state of Arizona by 9 points in 2012.
Okay, let's take a look at the great state of Florida that's going to have a rainy weekend, I believe, with the tropical storm down there. I've seen a couple of polls, and this one's from Florida Atlantic University. I've seen a couple of polls in the last couple of days where he is just slightly ahead of her, but it's still within the margin of error.
So if you aggregate a bunch of polls together conducted over the past couple of Hillary Clinton is still leading in Florida, but her post-convention bounce may be fading just a little bit. Florida is winnable for Trump. So he really needs to be spending time in Florida and Ohio, not spending so much time in Mississippi and Texas.
All right. Interesting stuff. Emily, thank you very much for joining us from Cato. All right.